So I thought I'd start this week with a little bit of a story because students often tell me how embarrassed they are by their lack of ability using technology. So the other night I'm listening to music on my iMac and I realized that my Bluetooth headset isn't pairing up. So I decided to do what I normally would do on my phone, which is just turn off the Bluetooth and turn it back on. I turn off the Bluetooth, but when I go to turn it back on, nothing happens. Of course, it's because my mouse is Bluetooth. So I can't use my mouse. I also can't use my keyboard because that's Bluetooth. And my backup mouse is Bluetooth. Every periphery I have is Bluetooth, and I just turned Bluetooth off on my computer because somebody's fancy and doesn't like wires. Well, needless to say, the problem took about 45 minutes to solve and involved a wireless but RF game controller. Didn't use Bluetooth, and I felt like a right idiot. All of that to say that it doesn't matter who you are, eventually technology is going to embarrass you. Hey everybody, welcome to week 10. My name is Brian Baker. I keep telling you that I'm not going to tell you that, but then I tell you anyway because I guess it's just tradition at this point. This week's going to be a little bit different. We are not going to be doing a chapter. We are not going to be doing a quiz. We are not going to be doing any sort of discussion. Instead, we're going to sort of focus efforts. I looked at the calendar and realized that we need to sort of speed things up in terms of my IT lab in order to be done by the end of the semester. So this week we're going to do two things at once. We're going to be doing our Excel Lab 4, which is the last lab in Excel. And generally the last lab doesn't get a lot of play in the lab tests, but it'll still be this week. And then we're also going to do the Excel lab test this week. So two things, but that's it. No chapter, no quiz, no discussion. So you'll hopefully have more time to spend on this sort of finishing out of Excel before we move into Access. Excel Lab 4 has a couple concepts in it. The first one is essentially printing. Sometimes you do need to print an Excel spreadsheet, although I have not had to print an Excel spreadsheet in years. I don't know. Electronic files exist. You pass them back and forth via email. It's a lot more convenient. But if you needed to print something, there's some instructions there on how to do it. And then the majority of the lab is about tables. Tables are a way of using Excel to create sort of a representation of data that you can then sort and filter, and it's a little bit more interactive. This is sometimes really helpful. It's a way of presenting information to people, like you can send them the Excel spreadsheet, and then they can kind of look at the data and manipulate it to get answers to questions that they might have. Like for instance, hey, here's a table of sales for all of our stores, all of our different locations. What are our top selling locations, and what locations have the most sales, something like that. They can just quickly sort that to see that. Then they might say, okay, now in terms of costs, which is costing us more in terms of real estate or something, and maybe they can find which stores to close. Boy, why would I choose a negative example as my example? Maybe they should, hey, what places should we expand and build new stores and hire more people and more jobs? Whatever they need to make in terms of decisions, whoever they are. Tables are a way of presenting information in a way that's interactive and allows people to sort of sort through stuff, find the information that they need. So anyway, Lab 4 is all about tables and a little bit of printing and a little bit of freezing columns and rows, which is actually kind of helpful just in terms of viewing things. And by the way, spoilers, tables in Excel are going to look kind of similar to something you're going to see next week when we start Access. The Excel Lab exam is a lot like the Word Lab exam. You're going to get a series of files, one of which will be a set of instructions telling you how to manipulate a document. In this case, an Excel spreadsheet. That will also be provided. And so you start with that as a starting point and then follow the instructions, modifying it as you go. Now, I will say with Excel, some things to sort of note. One is that Excel, because much of what you're doing is going to be based on the values in cells previous, because it's so interconnected, right? That means that you probably are going to want to do your instructions in order. Now, in general, you're going to do them in order, but with Excel, it's just a little bit more important to not skip around because you may expect behavior based on something, but if you didn't do the step before, you may not have the numbers that your new numbers are going to be based on, so you may not see what you expect to see. Point being, if you do the lab exam in order, it should be a lot easier, and you should, actually see the results as they should appear. Now, if you happen to be using a different version of Excel, because remember, you're going to be actually manipulating these files in your own version of Excel. By the way, I'm reposting the video showing you how to get Microsoft Office for free as an FCC student. Hopefully you've already done that because you needed to do it for the Word exam, but just in case, it's there for you again if you need it. But you're going to be using your own version of Excel. If you have a different version of Excel, the Mac version maybe, or even just an earlier version of Excel, and for some reason you don't want to download the new version and use it because it's free as an FCC student, for whatever reason, if you have a different version of Excel, there may be some styles that you don't have access to. It'll tell you to do like a pie chart, but maybe you don't have that exact, version of the pie chart, once you get to stylizing. Just choose something that seems similar, right? And it should be fine. If not, I will then go back and sort of correct the computer to make sure that you get the points you need. And that's it. I won't say it's going to be an easy week because you've got a lab test and an Excel lab in it, but it's at least going to be a simple week. 2 assignments and you're done. Hopefully for some of you it'll actually take less time, depends on how long it takes you to sort of go through a chapter, do the quiz, and answer discussion questions. So anyway, next week back to a normal week. This week a little streamlined in order to get through and finish Excel. All right, have a great week and I will see you online.